So good evening, everyone. On behalf of International Council for School Leaders, I extend a warm welcome to one and all. Today we are here on Gandhi Jayanti Eve with a 58th episode on discipline in education, intellectual, moral, social, and spiritual. So now I invite Dr. Atul to take the session forward.
Thank you, Harinder. Thank you so much. So one of the biggest problems that teachers are facing nowadays and right now is we all have to do online assessment. One of the biggest worries of every school leader and every teacher is how do we stop cheating? Now, is that a dilution of character that we are seeing in today's generation, or was it always there? And how would Gandhiji, what would Gandhiji say if he were there, and does his philosophy say? How does a teacher help a child understand that this is not something that they should be doing?
I think discipline comes when people find purpose, people find direction. That is what we are lacking in providing our kids, whether it in school, college, or in corporate. So our focus is trying to bell a wrong cat. We're trying to run behind discipline, while the core problem is they don't have purpose and direction in life. Therefore, they lack discipline. They're distracted, hence indisciplined. So that's my theory on discipline. I also have a very simple view that this, again, obsession, if I may call it, about online assessments is because you're trying to digitize an existing format of assessment. You will never make it fair. You're taking the same method of assessment, putting it online, putting an MCQ and saying, now do it. We've had to completely undo our quiz model to adapt to online simply because it had to be fair online. Today, I'm giving away cars and 5 lakhs and 6 lakhs for a Crucible or something. Online, no one's complaining that it's unfair. So you got to frame the rules of the game according to the medium in which you play and look at how to assess the child. I think the fundamental problem in our country is we've not understood what we are trying to assess. And then we go about putting all sorts of assessment methodologies in place.
Is being strict a prerequisite to making children, and I'm going to keep my focus on students. When I am a strict teacher, is that when my students are disciplined, or because I don't think Gandhiji was very strict, right? So what is the relationship between being a strict mother or a strict employer or a strict parent and then creating disciplined people?
The problem with Indian children, especially rich Indian children and middle class, is that there is this something called entitlement, a feeling of entitlement. And women during the COVID time also, I know rich women who've been also crying because the child would not lift a finger to help in the kitchen or anything, neither the husband. I mean, pani la do, ye kar do, your entitlement. There is this funny feeling of being entitled somehow to that it's your right and you get it. It's your right and you get it. So I think that is something which has to change. By how to change it with the feeling of service. But this is again a question of upbringing. Right from when your child is 6, you tell them, okay, today is your turn to take things out of the dishwasher or lay the table. I don't know. There are many, many small things in parenting. It starts with parenting and then of course it goes on. So this entitlement, I hope you understand, is what even adults in India suffer from. Somehow we have to change the ethos.
It's not that the people in US don't have a problem. There is a problem students bringing in drugs into school.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
a problem students bringing in guns into school. So you have to scan their bags. I mean, I remember that there was a news that New York public school system will not allow opaque bags anymore. They have to be netted bags because they have to be checked whether there are drugs or guns into the bag or knives into the bag. So I don't think this is, this is a problem that, and when we were in Finland, there was a lot of sexual abuse problems going on. There were teen pregnancy issues happening in Finland. So it's not just about the curriculum. It's not about, maybe just some of the assumptions that we make. When we are concerned about disciplining, you've given two great takeaways. One is the purpose and the direction. So a teacher needs to create that purpose and direction for students. I think that's a very good ingredient for a disciplined environment. What would you suggest that teachers can do to inculcate self-control in students, Giri?
First and foremost, I don't think enforcing discipline works.
Yes.
I do not believe in this notion of a strict teacher ensuring discipline. It's not true. I think it's the teacher who adds value that commands the discipline. It's very clear. It could be the most soft-spoken teacher in the school. As long as that teacher is seen valuable by the student, there is discipline in that class. Second, I think we fundamentally lose the plot sometimes. The very word school, I'm sorry, I'm sounding like a quizmaster for a moment. The very word school comes from a root word shol, which means place for fun. If you resort back to that and make the school a place for fun, which is what it's supposed to mean and meant to be, discipline falls in place. Nobody monitors the playground outside a living complex. Children go there, play a football match by themselves, referee by themselves, come back home happy. How does discipline exist there? It's an unsupervised environment, but there is discipline because there is fun. So as long as we make it something that is child-friendly, child-oriented, and driven by a very clear ambit of enjoyment, I think discipline always falls in. There is discipline in birthday parties. Why? They're enjoying it.
No, you're helping me recall my own teaching days in the US. I used to make sure that there is no attendance record. I used to teach calculus. Math is a very boring topic for anybody. People don't want to sit in math classes at all, anywhere in the world, by the way. But I had this policy that there's not going to be any attendance. And I always used to tell them that whenever you want to leave my class, you can exit from the back door without asking any permission. Don't stop me. If you feel like going, just go, walk out. No grudges against you. And we still used to have like 100% attendance in my class. Nobody went there because half the time when I was actually, angry with my students, the way I used to communicate them, they would be laughing because they thought I was, joking with them. But in fact, मैं उनको बताता था बाद में that look, I'm serious. I am not, kidding. I'm giving you a very stern message. So I think how we deal with students is very important. Let me bring in Balaji for a minute. Balaji is obviously everybody knows him as the former chairperson, former director of academics of CBSE. Balaji, thank you for coming in. I want to hear your views on what is it that teachers can do because discipline is required. Whether you call it discipline or self-control, it's an essential part of a child's brahmachari's jivan where he has to grow up. And also the realizing the spirit, spiritually enriching. That's a very important tool. What should teachers do to help students attain that?
I mean, I forbid to think of the idea of strict teacher because the very word strict is a violent word. It talks of a mental, I try to force something on the learner. And all now, but thereby we have really forbidden the self-identity of the learner, which is fundamental to discipline. The moment I am given the freedom, I try to demonstrate what I am, but provided the freedom goes with responsibility and accountability. We have created more a mistrust system in our school education. I would put it in only one way. All that what we need to do is to develop disciplined people, value-based people, is to develop integrated personality. And what is that integrated personality? As Gandhi would put it, manasa vacha karmana. The way you think, the way you speak, and the way you act. There has got to be integration. And when teachers don't demonstrate that integration, school platforms don't act as examples and models of such integration. So children will definitely take what is seen by them. So all that I would say is a simple exercise of developing integrated personalities to let them behave that what they speak, what they think they should speak, and what they speak, they should do. That integration first must start there. I think that is fundamental.
You have given very, very important takeaways for teachers to start following and implementing in the classroom. But at the same time, there might be scenarios where we as teachers need to confront students. There might be, students who are bullying others, students who are not following school rules for some reason. Apart from making our lectures fun, and there might be some cases that emerge. Violent students, etc. How do you think that teachers, educators can deal with these situations or these students in a manner that Gandhiji would approve of? And what I mean by that is in a non-violent way, because Gandhiji was against corporal punishment.
Yeah, I think that, the misbehavior is some sort of a displaced aggression. The root cause lies elsewhere. So I personally feel, and I've experimented with this, that what you need is empathy with the person. Once you establish empathy, and also mind you, if you're a role model, as Gidiji very rightly said, that, if you yourself a role model, they are attracted to you, then if you have empathy and the power to listen, and if you can listen and beyond the listening, get the feeling and the display, where the root cause is coming from, because then I think that is how to treat the whole thing. In doing it like this, it may take a little bit of time, but the moment you can establish an internal rapport with the person, I think that is the way forward. Corporal punishment is not the answer. And they can see the empathy, they can see the kindness, the forgiveness, all that coming through. So if one can have that sort of an approach, I think it helps a lot.
And I think a lot of times when we talk about discipline, we think about the army, and there they have a different meaning of discipline altogether.
Yeah.
And the meaning of discipline in army and armed forces should not be practiced in a school environment. That is not the discipline we are talking about. Giri, apart from empathy, how do you think can we address issues where things go wrong, when things go wrong with students, or even teachers sometimes,
See, I think one is empathy. The other is to tell the students what your expectation of that student is and how the student has let you down. Since we're speaking Gandhi, there was this great journalist, and I'll answer it anecdotally. There was this great journalist called Webb Miller. And it is the Miller report that actually changed the British opinion about India in many ways, if one may say so. And he used to carry a cigarette packet with him all the time, or a cigarette case in those days. Gandhi once called him aside and told him, "You write so beautifully, but I see you, smoking." And Gandhi always, if I may use the word reprimand, he reprimanded people alone and appreciated people publicly. That is something every teacher must make like a rule book. You cannot, especially in today's generation of hypersensitive children, you cannot reprimand them in public. It never works. You're only making them more, to revolt. So what Gandhi did was he told him, "I will put my initials on your cigarette box, but you will never carry a cigarette in it."
Wow.
Webb Miller carried that box with him for his entire life from that day without a cigarette in it.
Wow.
So you can be a phenomenal influence by doing a very small thing.
Right.
That small act of thought and standing by you is actually the power that a teacher enjoys beyond a parent. And we don't realize that. Nobody else in society enjoys that position except a teacher. Let's understand the strength of the teacher in this context. So Gandhi was nothing but a teacher for Webb Miller. He just taught him saying, "Listen, what are you doing? You're such a great writer, but what are you doing to yourself?" If our teachers, they spare that moment, and I think it's great that we're moving into a self-learn economy, we're self-learning and we're doing everything self, great. Use that time to make the teacher a mentor in the school and allow the children to learn on their own. Use the teacher to be the larger definition of a teacher and not a deliverer of mere curriculum. That would be my request.
So the question is, education will definitely bring intellectual, moral, social, and spiritual discipline. But can just schooling bring such discipline? What about other exposures a growing up child experiences around him or her?
Yeah, that's a huge challenge. In fact, in many ways, the school was meant to be the cushion for that. The temple in the olden days was meant to be the cushion for that. Society was meant to be the cushion for that. Today, the whole thing has flipped itself. The home is actually becoming the cushion to protect you from what's happening outside the house. So the irony is we've flipped the whole thing. Students may turn around and argue and tell you, listen, you're telling me to follow ABC method. But the moment I pass out of school, those methods don't work. I'm not able to earn money using those methods. So that's the problem, because we've created this huge divide actually between the haves and the have-nots. And when that disparity keeps growing, turmoil will continue to surface, irrespective of whether it is this way or that way. I think people are becoming far more humane, far more sensitive, and far more introspective. I think these three things will take the world a long way forward. That's my view.
How to make children realize the importance of discipline in life, as sermons and motivation really don't work with digital natives?
See, the very word discipline needs to be flipped. If discipline, for example, if you bring out to them and make them understand what goes behind the performance of a Virat Kohli, they understand what discipline is. Virat doesn't walk in there to score those runs. He puts in those hours going to the nets at 4:30 in the morning. So how we illustrate discipline to the children is what's going to inculcate the practice of discipline. We try to preach discipline. You have to demonstrate discipline. The moment you demonstrate discipline, kids adapt, and demonstrate it from the people who they idealize. Show them what a disciplinarian Sachin Tendulkar was. Show them what a disciplinarian Virat Kohli is or Sunil Chhetri is. They relate to it. Or an Amitabh Bachchan. That man never goes to the set 1 minute late, I'm told, at his egalitarian age.
Yeah.
That's discipline. So discipline, I don't think, is only about behavior and obedience. Discipline is about, how you come across.
Not just students, but even teachers feel it's outdated to speak and practice any of the Gandhian philosophy. How to bring about its relevance to the 2K global, learners, not just the students, but even the teachers?
Well, personally, I think Gandhian philosophy is far more relevant in today's era than it was when Gandhi was around. That's my first submission. Because we're a far more violent world than when Gandhi lived through, in that violent world with non-violence. That's my first submission. Second is, it is the adjectives that probably become irrelevant and outdated. Discuss the values, don't call it Gandhian values. Gandhi never wanted you to brand it on his name anyways. He never carried a title. As long as they see value in the values, it doesn't matter if they know it as Gandhian values or whatever. Now, if you really look at it, take Dr. Kalam. He pretty much lived a Gandhian lifestyle in a different form. He practiced the same values. He appealed to a particular generation with the same values and the same ideals. So I don't think the nomenclature really matters. And Gandhi himself never said, practice the truth. He said, experiment with the truth.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to experiment with these things, and what clicks, clicks. So the value in Gandhi's values is what one needs to see. I don't think one should be really too worried if they think, it's like saying, today's kids think, Lord Rama and his virtues are a joke in the modern world. So don't call it, virtues from the Ramayana. Contextualize it to the modern world. Package Gandhian values of discipline through Virat Kohli. Why not?
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. He's probably one of the best disciplinarians you'll find. What's wrong? And then it appeals to them. The moment you say Virat Kohli's values, they're open to you in classroom.
Yeah.
You know deep within that you're discussing Gandhian values. So, I think it's just contextualizing it and making it generationally relevant. Call it Harry Potter's values for all you care.
Okay. So, 1 minute for your closing statements. I'll start with Dr. Suman.
I think, Gandhi does not, when you say Gandhi, it does not stand for the personal Gandhi. Not at all. Gandhi stands for values, the values of truth, non-violence, service, which will be relevant always.
Mr. Giri, your closing statement, please.
Well, I'm a great fan of teaching as a profession and teachers as professionals. So all I'd like to tell them is never give up. In a gentle way, like Gandhi said, you can shake the world. Go ahead and shake it.
Thank you. Bala sir, we like to hear from you also.
Well, I go back to my college days when I was asked to enter into a debate. The title was Ideas Govern the World, Not Men. So whether it's Gandhi or Gandhism, Marx or Marxism, whether it's the values or the person, and the debate goes on. But what is important is the message they have left. We live by that.
Right.
I think that's important.
Thank you so much, sir. And a special thanks to all the panelists for such an interesting, invigorating, and enriching session. I would also like to extend our gratitude to all those who joined us today at Friday at 5. Once again, on behalf of ICSL, I would like to thank you for your support, supporting us wholeheartedly on this wonderful learning journey. And we look forward to strengthening our bond as we move ahead.